The dark expanse of space stretched endlessly, filled with stars that twinkled like distant eyes. Aliens aboard the scanning ship, the Vekora, stared at their monitors, their compound eyes reflecting the flickering lights of distant systems. They were silent, calculating, and cautious, for in all their centuries of exploration, no life form had ever truly surprised them. A signal blinked on the main console, sharp and irregular, and Commander Thalric leaned forward, antennas twitching with interest. "What is this anomaly?" he hissed, his voice low and curious. The ship's AI, precise and emotionless, responded with a series of analytical hums. "Object detected, classification uncertain, technology unrecognized, energy readings anomalous." The aliens studied the object, a human warship, small but powerful, unlike anything in their archives. Its hull shimmered with adaptive plating that seemed almost alive, reflecting light in patterns that made it difficult to track. And yet, there was something more, something beyond mere technology, something instinctive, something human. Thalric's crew gathered around the holographic projection, their limbs tense, their minds racing. Could a primitive species have created this? One asked, disbelief heavy in the tone. The projection displayed the ship's capabilities, shields that shifted like liquid, weapons that rearranged themselves depending on threat, propulsion systems that bent light subtly, making direct observation nearly impossible. The aliens ran their scans again, trying to decode the human designs. But every time they thought they understood, the warship changed, adapting almost instantly. It was as if it knew the aliens were watching, and it was ready, waiting, calculating each response with uncanny precision. A whisper ran through the command chamber, a sound of fear masked as curiosity. "We underestimated them," muttered one officer, and the words hung heavy in the air. For generations, the Vekora had encountered civilizations that were simple, linear, predictable, but humans were different, unpredictable, chaotic, and brilliant. The warship moved slowly, not in aggression, but in purpose, scanning the surrounding stars as if it were measuring threats and opportunities at the same time. The aliens debated, voices overlapping in tension. Should we engage? Observe further? Retreat? Every choice seemed dangerous, for every calculation the humans made defied expectation. On the bridge, the human warship's sensors had already noticed the Vekora, though the aliens did not realize it. Their AI systems were observing, recording, and predicting alien movements with silent efficiency. The humans did not panic, they did not flee, yet their confidence radiated across space, a quiet, unyielding power that unsettled the Vekora crew. Time stretched, measured not in seconds but in uncertainty. As the aliens continued to scan, the warship made a subtle maneuver, a small adjustment in orbit, yet it caused the Vekora's readings to spike. Alarms blinked briefly, and the room fell into a tense hush. The crew stared, realizing with a sudden cliff and clarity that this was no ordinary species, no ordinary ship. This was something extraordinary. Commander Thalric's eyes narrowed, antennas rigid, as he muttered, "Whatever they are nothing like we imagined." The warship paused in space, its engines humming with quiet power, and for a moment, the void itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would happen next. The aliens had discovered humans, but what they did not know yet would shake them to their core. For the story of this small, unassuming warship was about to challenge everything they believed about the galaxy. The Vekora's bridge buzzed with tension, the alien crew unable to look away from the human warship. Every monitor, every sensor reading, showed anomalies that made their calculations almost useless. Commander Thalric paced slowly, his multi-jointed limbs clicking against the floor. "We must understand them before it is too late," he said, voice low but tense. The warship had not fired a single shot, yet the Vekora felt the weight of its presence. Its shields shimmered like liquid metal, adjusting continuously, and the aliens could not predict how they would react to even the smallest attack. "These humans, they think differently," muttered an officer, shaking his head. Anticipation and fear mixed in every movement. The crew debated strategies, but every plan seemed fragile. The humans' technology was unlike anything in the galaxy, a combination of clever design, adaptability, and pure unpredictability. Even the ship's AI responded in ways that seemed almost human, anticipating moves before the aliens could fully act. Thalric summoned the Council of Officers, their faces pale under the glowing monitors. "We cannot treat them as a primitive race," he said. "Their defenses, their logic, even their perception of space, It is advanced beyond reason. The officers exchanged worried glances, realizing that this was not just a warship, it was a statement of human ingenuity. Meanwhile, the humans observed quietly, their ship's sensors reading the Vekora with calm precision. No panic, no aggression, only careful calculation. They were not hiding, but they were not reckless either. Every maneuver had a purpose, and every choice seemed designed to test the aliens' expectations. The aliens decided to probe further, sending scanning drones close to the warship, but every drone failed. Systems disabled or rerouted by clever human engineering. The Vekora's officers leaned over the controls, astonishment spreading like wildfire. "They are controlling every variable," one whispered. "They see us before we see them." Tension grew as the aliens realized they were dealing with something that could not be measured in power or speed alone. The humans combined strategy, creativity, and courage, a combination the Vekora crew had never encountered. Small holographic displays showed the humans rearranging their drones in ways that seemed impossible, and each adjustment forced the aliens to recalculate. For the first time in generations, the aliens felt genuine uncertainty, a fear they had never experienced. "If they choose to fight, we may not survive," Tharik said quietly, almost to himself. Yet the humans made no move toward violence. Their calm, confident presence was a challenge in itself, a silent message that humans were masters of their own terms. As the minutes passed, the Vekora's crew realized that this warship was a puzzle, not a weapon, and that humans were the unpredictable factor they had always feared. Every strategy they tried to impose failed, not because of strength, but because of creativity, flexibility, and intelligence. A sudden movement caught their attention, a small but deliberate adjustment in the warship's trajectory, and the aliens watched, frozen, as it perfectly anticipated and countered a minor Vekora maneuver. Their minds struggled to comprehend what they were seeing, and a sense of awe mixed with fear spread across the bridge. Thalrik turned to his officer's voice, heavy with disbelief. "We believed we were the explorers, the masters of calculation, but they are something else entirely." The humans waited silently, observing, learning, and calculating, and the aliens understood that this encounter would change everything they believed about life, strategy, and power in the galaxy. The warship hovered like a silent threat, calm and precise, and the Vekora crew realized with growing dread that this was no ordinary encounter. It was a test, a revelation, and the beginning of a story that would shake them to their very core. The Vekora shivered under the weight of the human warship's gaze. The aliens had prepared for threats, for destruction, but not for calm confidence. Commander Thalrik activated the comms, sending a series of signals in the most complex patterns their species knew. "We must communicate, or at least understand their intent," he said, antennas twitching with unease. The humans responded, not with fear or panic, but with clarity, their voice calm, firm, yet filled with an unshakable presence. "We see you. We understand your scan." The signal transmitted in universal tones, and it carried something unexpected, a subtle humor, a confidence that unsettled the aliens. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. "They speak without submission, without fear," one muttered, and the room filled with quiet tension. The humans did not beg, did not plead, they simply acknowledged, and the acknowledgement itself carried a weight the aliens had not anticipated. The Vekora sensors detected patterns in the human communication that hinted at strategic thought, creativity, even curiosity, not just a ship, but intelligence behind every decision. The aliens tried to predict the next message, but each reply defied expectation, showing wit, adaptability, and subtle challenge. Thalrik leaned closer to the console, studying the projections of the human crew. The humans were small, fragile in appearance, but their minds, their strategy, and their calm confidence radiated like a force field. "They are not just clever," he whispered. "They are extraordinary." The human warship moved slowly, deliberately, demonstrating control over space and physics in ways that made the aliens' calculations falter. It was not aggression, but demonstration, a subtle show of capability, testing the aliens without confrontation. Every small maneuver forced the Vekora-S crew to rethink assumptions. As the aliens debated internally, the humans continued, sending small holographic projections, illustrating concepts, sharing data, yet never revealing all their secrets. The aliens' minds raced, trying to decipher patterns, and each attempt led to more questions than answers. The humans were teaching them a lesson in humility, in observation, in awe. Tension grew as the Vakura S officers realized that communication itself was a battlefield, and humans were masters. They were unpredictable, creative, and emotionally intelligent in ways the aliens had not encountered. For the first time, some officers felt doubt, questioning the galaxy's hierarchy, their place in it. Thalric's voice shook slightly, antennas flicking. We underestimated them completely. The humans continued their calm, careful display, showing clever defensive systems, automatic repairs, and adaptive intelligence. The aliens saw that these were not machines alone, but extensions of a living mind, capable of thought and invention that no calculation could fully predict. A small display caught the aliens' attention, a sequence of human data patterns showing that the ship could anticipate and counter multiple strategies at once. The aliens froze, realizing that humans were not just surviving, they were prepared for anything, and their intelligence extended beyond logic into instinct, creativity, and courage. The bridge fell silent, the tension thick. The humans hovered calmly, observing, learning, and responding without haste, while the Vakura S crew trembled with awe and fear. For the first time in their long history, they were face to face with a species that could not be controlled, predicted, or dominated, and the knowledge weighed on them heavily. Thalric whispered, almost to himself, "These humans, they will not be ignored. They will not be contained." And as the human warship rotated gracefully in space, it became clear that this encounter was not just a meeting, it was a revelation, a warning, and the beginning of a story that would reshape everything the aliens believed. The Vakura trembled under the quiet authority of the human warship. Commander Thalric ordered a series of minor attacks, testing the humans' response. Small energy pulses, harmless at first, shot toward the warship, but every move was met with precise, unexpected countermeasures. The humans were not reckless, they were clever, adapting instantly, and the aliens' calculations faltered with each reaction. The bridge was filled with tension, alarms blinking faintly as humans used their ship's drones in ways that seemed impossible. Tiny craft moved like shadows, merging and separating, blocking and redirecting attacks. All the while, the humans remained calm, observing the aliens with quiet curiosity, as if testing how much the Vakura could handle. Thalric's officers were in disbelief, their antennas twitching nervously. "They anticipate everything, every single attack," one muttered, his voice trembling. "We cannot outthink them." Each minor engagement revealed new levels of human ingenuity, clever solutions that the aliens had not predicted, and every success increased the tension on the Vakura. The humans' warship was more than a machine. It was a mind, a living strategy. Every movement carried intelligence, foresight, and creativity. The aliens realized that their greatest weapons were ineffective against humans who could adapt instantly, rethinking every scenario in moments, and using imagination as a shield and sword. A sudden maneuver left the Vakura S sensors struggling. The humans had redirected a small pulse, turning it into a harmless energy display that dazzled the alien crew, creating both confusion and awe. Laughter or the alien equivalent of it echoed in the bridge, a mixture of disbelief and admiration. "How can a species so small control so much?" one officer whispered. The humans were testing without attacking, learning without intimidation, and each move displayed an unexpected brilliance. The Vakura's crew realized that this was no ordinary conflict. It was a masterclass in strategy, creativity, and courage. The aliens had not prepared for this kind of encounter, where unpredictability was a weapon stronger than lasers, shields, or numbers. Thalric's voice was low, tense. "They are showing us that we cannot control, predict, or dominate them. We must respect their intelligence, their strategy, their humanity." The aliens watched in silence as humans repaired their ship in real time. Automated systems working seamlessly, drones assisting, and clever adjustments that defied alien calculations. One small drone, for example, repositioned itself to block a minor attack, then used the same energy to repair a damaged panel, and the Vakura S crew could only watch in astonishment. The human warship rotated gracefully, its presence commanding yet serene, an unspoken message that humans were not aggressive without reason, but prepared for anything. The aliens began to realize the truth: humans were more than a threat. They were a revelation. Their courage, creativity, and ingenuity were unlike anything the Vakura had faced, and each moment deepened the awe and fear in the alien crew. A feeling of humility spread across the bridge. tinged with respect and disbelief. Thalric finally spoke, antennas trembling. "We underestimated them completely. They are not just warriors or explorers, they are something far beyond our understanding." The human warship floated calmly, waiting, observing, and the Vaquera's crew knew that every interaction, every test, had only scratched the surface of human brilliance. And in that moment, the aliens understood that humans were not to be dismissed, conquered, or feared in the usual sense. They were a force of unpredictability, intelligence, and courage that could not be ignored. And the story of this encounter was only just beginning. The human warship floated calmly, engines humming softly, as if aware of every pulse, every sensor on the Vaquera. The aliens had tried calculations, strategies, and minor attacks, yet every move had been met with intelligence, creativity, and restraint. Commander Thalric stared at the monitors, disbelief and awe mixing in his mind. "They are extraordinary," he whispered, antennas trembling. For the first time, the aliens understood that humans were not just another species in the galaxy. They were unpredictable, clever, and fearless, and their power was not just in weapons or shields, but in their mind, in their courage, and in their unity. The humans had shown restraint, intelligence, and a willingness to communicate, even under the shadow of potential conflict. The Vaquera's council gathered, debating in hushed, tense voices. "Are they a threat?" one officer asked, voice uncertain. "Or are they something more, something we cannot define?" The humans had proven that strength alone was not enough to understand them, and that respect, creativity, and observation were equally powerful. A holographic display from the human ship illuminated the bridge, showing maps, data, and subtle messages of strategy and insight. It was not aggressive. It was a demonstration of thought, of intelligence, and the aliens realized that humans could teach, protect, and adapt in ways no other species could. Even the smallest adjustment, the tiniest calculation, revealed brilliance, courage, and ingenuity. Thalric stepped forward, antennas erect. They do not seek to dominate, yet they are ready for anything. Their presence alone is a statement, a challenge, and a promise. The humans were not conquering worlds. They were defending, exploring, learning, and showing that even in a galaxy filled with power, intelligence and courage could be the greatest force. A sudden realization struck the Vaquera crew. A quiet, almost humbling understanding. The human ship had been a mirror, reflecting what the aliens could not anticipate, their own assumptions, their pride, their limits. Every calculation, every strategy had been tested not with malice, but with precision and intelligence. And the lesson was clear: humans were extraordinary. The aliens watched as the humans executed a series of maneuvers, each movement elegant, precise, and purposeful. They were not reckless, but fearless, not aggressive, but capable of defending themselves against any threat. And in that moment, the Vaquera's crew felt awe, respect, and a twinge of fear. All their beliefs about power, strategy, and intelligence had been challenged. Commander Thalric finally spoke, voice steady but filled with emotion. "We have encountered something we cannot control, predict, or conquer. Humans are not just survivors or warriors, they are creators, thinkers, and something greater than we imagined." The warship's calm presence radiated a silent truth, that intelligence, courage, and unity were more powerful than any weapon. The human warship turned slowly, engines glowing, and prepared to depart, leaving behind a trail of understanding, a legacy of brilliance and courage that would echo through the aliens could only watch, humbled and amazed, as the humans vanished into the stars, leaving them with a single, unforgettable truth. Humans were not to be feared in the usual sense, nor underestimated. They were a force of ingenuity, unpredictability, and courage that would forever change the way the galaxy viewed them. And as the Vaquera's crew recorded the encounter, they knew that the story of humans had only begun, a story of brilliance, resilience, and the enduring spirit of a species that could never be ignored.